Have you ever just felt like giving up and have been questioning whether you should persist and just carry on and push through, or if it's really, really time to throw in the bucket? We hear from Allon Raiz what he thinks about when it's time to quit.
Welcome to Risk and Rise, the podcast where we explore the journey of overcoming the fear of failure, embracing risk, and achieving success in entrepreneurship, creativity, and personal growth. I'm your host, Talana Simpson, and I'm thrilled to embark on this journey with you. Together we'll discover the strategies, insights, and shifts in our thinking and attitudes that are needed to turn setbacks into stepping stones and transform fear into fuel for success. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's episode of Risk and Rise.
So I've been trying to find the one matchstick startup, someone who will get the great opportunity of helping them get their business off the ground, get going, really take the business to the next level. And what is included in this offer is the one matchstick office space for 6 months. But I've really been battling. I've been knocking my head against walls and battling to find the entrepreneur. And on the weekend, I was saying to my friends that I'm going to give it another go for a week or two, and then maybe I should just give up. And they were like, no, you must keep persisting. And they helped me bounce a few ideas around. And that reminded me of a conversation I'd actually had with Allon Raiz many years ago on one of my previous podcast shows. It was called Let's Talk Possibility. And so I managed to dig up that clip just around when to give up. And I think what Allon was explaining is exactly what happened with me on this weekend. So I want to share with you this clip that was recorded many years ago with Allon Raiz about when should we consider even putting down our tools and just saying, that's it, we're done. So enjoy the show.
No way.
What happens when you procrastinate on actually giving up? We're talking with Allon Raiz, the founder and CEO of Raiz Corp, a profitable business incubator, who's just written a book entitled What to Do When You Want to Give Up. So, Allon, what do you actually mean by giving up?
So any entrepreneur will know that the journey is filled with days, weeks, sometimes months where they wanted to give up, something preventing them from doing it. And there's this desperate feeling that they can't move on anymore. They can't move forward, and perhaps they're fooling themselves. So for me, I'm very pro-life when it comes to entrepreneurship. When you hear the story of most successful entrepreneurs, they will tell you that they at some point wanted to give up. They've all wanted to. Whether it was Sam Walton, who was asked whether he wanted to give up or not and said absolutely many times, to the small corner shop where the entrepreneur is wanting to give up on a bad month or a bad season. So for me, what distinguishes the two is perseverance, the ability to move through this feeling. And for me, what is very important in order to move through that feeling is that you're asking yourself the right questions and you're looking at the world in a different way. So for me, the first thing that I think entrepreneurs should do in that space is look at what resources they have at their disposal. Often we become quite insular and around what we have. We think that there's absolutely no opportunity for us to actually make it through. One of those resources is friends and family, mentors, and family friends of, your parents' friends, etc. And they can change your whole perception about what's going on. So I speak about...
Sometimes it's just a one conversation.
It's one conversation. And in the book, I speak about something that really happened to me. I had a vehicle security business. It was month end. I couldn't pay my staff. I had no more overdraft. Our funders said no more. And how was it? It was the end. It was the end.
So you felt like you had no options.
No options. And a man called Stan, I know that sounds really sad, but a man called Stan, who was an accountant, a family friend, he said, come for lunch. And he took me for lunch. And at the beginning of lunch, I wanted to give up. And the way he spoke about my business, he was so excited. He was like, oh, he's got this opportunity. And he saw it from a completely different paradigm, from different perspective. And I kept saying to him, Stan, what about I can't fund this month? And he said, are you crazy? This is just a cash flow issue. His whole perspective, this is a cash flow issue. It's not a real problem. So just make a couple of calls, talk about this, emphasize this and this and this in the business, and I'm sure you'll get funding. And it's exactly what I did. At the beginning of lunch, I wanted to give up. At the end of the lunch, I rushed back to the office, made a couple of calls, got a few appointments, and within a week, I actually raised the money in order to move through to the next level. So one person's intervention changed how I felt about me. That's very powerful.
It was because you felt like you had no options. And yet you say, no, when the resources are sometimes not what we think, the money, that physical kind of option, it's a resource that's
exactly
gives you another option.
So the book is actually based on a true story. We use Rachel as the character here. She's an amalgam of many of the entrepreneurs that we've had in Raiz Corp. And what happened with one of our entrepreneurs, and it's dedicated to her name, Sunette, she came and she wanted to give up. And I said, before you give up, I said, come with you and your husband, come and spend a Saturday with me, and I'll ask you 12 questions. If at the end of those 12 questions, you still want to give up, go for it. But then at least we know you've asked yourself all the right questions. Mm-hmm. And so it comes to what questions you've been asked. And that's why external people ask different questions. For as long as you can ask different questions about your business, you still should push through.
And it sounds like part of giving up is literally it's a decision-making process. So those questions are helping you, as you say, make a more informed decision at the end.
Yes, it's a more informed decision. So
instead of emotional, tired, I'm just so tired of doing this.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's that you ask yourself, a whole bunch of questions. And in the book, we take you through all the questions that you should be asking yourself. And if at the end of that, you still believe that you should give up and be honest with yourself. And the book is very honest because in some instances, it's the right thing to do. But in most instances, in my opinion, it's not. And you need to distinguish between the two and make sure you're not making an emotional decision based on exhaustion and your self-esteem at that time.
So I'm Talana Simpson, and this has been Risk and Rise. I hope you enjoyed that trip down memory lane from way back when I first started podcasting, and that you don't give up. I hope that you have a conversation, find someone to bounce ideas off with, and don't give up today. You can always give up tomorrow, but today, let's persevere and keep going towards our goals so that we can risk and rise together.
Thank you for joining me on Risk and Rise, where we face fears, conquer challenges, and rise above adversity to achieve our dreams. Find out more at riskandrise.co.za.